All right, everybody, let's talk about existentialism, shall we? So I'm actually kind of excited. This is a very silly thing to get excited about. In the past, I've used a video that I recorded 6 years ago, and it's of me sitting on my floor of my apartment recording an existentialism video, which maybe is weirdly existential, but I felt like it was time to make a new video. So you all are the lucky recipients and the lucky encouragement and reason for making a new intro to existentialism video. As I indicated, existentialism is one of my favorite areas of philosophy. Okay? And it's an area of philosophy that subject, a topic within philosophy that really didn't start kind of making waves until like the mid 1800s. Because most people, most philosophers, and we can even think about like Hume and Kant and Plato and Aristotle, they kind of took existence for granted, right? And so they kind of were asking these questions about, okay, we exist, but like we should ask more questions about, how to live and how to live well. If we're thinking about Aristotle, okay? Where the existentialists come along, like I said, in the mid kind of about 1800s and then into the 20th century, and they start asking kind of a different, they start having a different angle and a different lens by which to ask really, I would say, meaningful and challenging questions. Okay? So existentialism, most broadly speaking, is the philosophy of human existence. Okay? And it's looking at these questions of what it means to be human and what it means to exist. Okay? What it means to be human and what it means to exist. Okay? And in asking these two questions, I often like to think of existentialism as like the big questions, right? Like, why are we here? And why are we living the kind of lives that we're living? Why are we doing what it is that we're doing? Okay? Asking these questions about, right? When we think of like, our goals, when we think about kind of, why we're structuring our lives the way we're structuring them, existentialism is hanging out in the background asking questions as to why, right? Why is this course of action the best course of action? Or why is this type of living the right way to live? Is there even a right way to live? Right? Because could it be argued that all of us are kind of trying to make it up as we go along? Right? And maybe existence, reality, our lives aren't as fixed as we'd like them to be, right? That we were born into a society of rules, regulations, that we're born into pre-existing patterns of behavior. We adopt various customs, and we don't know why we adopt various customs and habits and patterns of behavior, and a lot of us just do it because we think that's what we're supposed to do. Many of us probably are in college because we think that that's just what we have to do next as it relates to living a life, right? And the existentialist is going to be critical of this. The existentialist is going to be challenging to all of us to really ask these questions that probably keep us up at night, asking why we're living the kind of lives that we're living. Why are we doing what it is we're doing? Moreover, asking these questions of how much possession of self do you really have, right? And what I mean by this, and this is an interesting, again, philosophical and existential move, like how aware of yourself are you? How in possession of yourself are you, right? Or are you living a life in accordance to how someone else wants you to live your life? And now listen to that paradoxical kind of statement, right? You're living your life, potentially, according to how someone else tells you you have to live your life. Shouldn't you be living your life how you want to live it? Right? Shouldn't you be doing what it is you want to be doing? Because if this is all we got, if this is all of the life that we have, probably living anywhere between 40 and 80 years, we should damn well do, and we should damn well live a life that we want for us, right? So this idea that if you're in college and you're going to college, and if you're majoring in something that you hate, that doesn't inspire you, that doesn't encourage you, that doesn't enthrall you, but you're doing it because you feel like you have to, because your parents are making you choose that major, or they gave you a small list of majors that were acceptable, right? Hopefully your parents aren't like watching this video with you, but that's fine too. It'll encourage robust existential discussion. Because clearly your parents want the best for you. I mean, that makes sense, right? But if you're just doing what they told you to do, and especially if you're miserable, the existentialist and existentialism is, to a great extent, an empowering philosophy for you to try to take greater possession of self, to really live the life that you want to live, right? And so there's a couple of markers, there's a couple of again, kind of taglines that I like to use in thinking about existentialism, and I think this one of taking greater possession of self is definitely one aspect of what we'll find with existentialism. And our thinker tomorrow is Jean-Paul Sartre. He has a philosophy that I would say encourages taking a greater possession of self, of really recognizing kind of the power to, again, greater and lesser extents, the power that we really do have over our own lives. Okay? So taking greater possession of self. Secondly, we can think back to what we encountered with Socrates a little bit, okay? Where the existentialist, and here I have in mind this wily thinker named Friedrich Nietzsche, but Nietzsche and others like him were highly critical of the fact that a lot of us just go through the motions. A lot of us just do what we think we have to do. We just kind of, succumb to the flow of life, right? In mundane and maybe some exciting ways, right? But many existentialists are highly critical of the fact that a lot of us, and again, this mirrors Socrates, that a lot of us live numb lives. That we think that this is all we got, right? And there's nothing more. Again, maybe some outliers here. But the way of living, the way that we're living is the only way to live. And we just kind of go through the motions. We do what we're told. We kind of, hit these markers that society deems praiseworthy, that society has set these standards for what it means to live a full life. Right? But the existentialist is highly kind of critical of the fact that in that space, a lot of us just go through the motions. A lot of us live numb lives. Okay? And so through and with existentialism, there is this I would say, empowerment. There's this empowerment. It's also mixed with a bit of dread, a bit of anxiety, because this thought that I think a lot of us really like the answers. We really like direction. We really like kind of being told what it is we should do, what it is we have to do, because that provides stability. It provides comfort, right? It kind of lets us off the hook when we just do what others tell us to do and kind of fall in line with what we're supposed to fall in line with, right? And so a lot of people get comfortable, they get numb, and they just go through the motions. Where the existentialist, again, is going to be, I think, really empowering, really challenging to all of us to really encourage us to take greater possession of self, to not live as numb, to not live as just going through the motions, to recognize that in our existence of what it means to be human and what it means to exist, then maybe there's a lot more at play. Okay? So, this is a little setup. I'm going to continue this intro in the next video.